Have you ever wondered how a single empire could control vast trade routes, amass legendary wealth, shape global economies, and influence cultures for centuries, only to eventually crumble into fragmentation? The Mali Empire, one of the greatest civilizations in African history, tells a story of resilience, power, knowledge, and inevitable decline. From its rise under the legendary Sundiata Keita to its golden age under the immensely wealthy Mansa Musa and its eventual downfall, Mali's history is filled with conquest, innovation, and internal struggles. But how did it rise to such heights? And what forces led to its eventual collapse? Before the Mali Empire emerged, West Africa was dominated by the Ghana Empire, which controlled trans-Saharan trade routes and grew wealthy from gold and salt. However, by the late 11th century, the Ghana Empire began to weaken due to invasions, internal conflicts, and shifts in trade routes. This left a power vacuum that smaller kingdoms, including the Mandinka people of Kangaba, sought to fill. The true foundation of the Mali Empire was laid by Sundiata Keita, who is often called the Lion King, due to his legendary journey from exile to king. His story, preserved through griot, oral historian traditions, describes how he overcame adversity and defeated the Soso king, Sumanguru Kante, in the Battle of Kirina in 1235. This victory marked the birth of the Mali Empire. Sundiata was not just a warrior, he was a visionary leader. He established Niani as the capital and built a political system that combined centralized authority with local governance. He also created the Gbara, a council of elders and nobles, to advise the king, ensuring stability. Under his leadership, Mali began expanding its control over key trade routes and fertile lands, setting the stage for an era of immense prosperity. The Mali Empire reached its height in the 14th century, largely due to its control of gold and salt trade routes that connected West Africa to North Africa and beyond. Gold from Mali was highly sought after in Europe, the Middle East, and Asia, making the empire a key player in the global economy. But it was under Mansa Musa, Yin's 1312 to 1337, that Mali became truly legendary. Mansa Musa is widely regarded as the wealthiest man in history, with an estimated fortune that would dwarf today's billionaires. His riches were so vast that when he embarked on his famous pilgrimage to Mecca in 1324, he traveled with 60,000 men, including soldiers, scholars, and merchants, slaves, each carrying gold bars. Camels, each loaded with 300 pounds of gold. Along his journey, he spent so much gold in Egypt that it caused inflation, destabilizing Cairo's economy for over a decade. His pilgrimage was not just a religious duty, it was a demonstration of Mali's power and influence. Mansa Musa's rule also saw a cultural renaissance in Mali. He invested in education and architecture, transforming Timbuktu into a center of Islamic learning. The University of Sankore became one of the most important academic institutions in the world, attracting scholars, poets, and scientists from across Africa and the Middle East. Mansa Musa also commissioned grand structures like the Jingiriber Mosque, designed by architects from the Islamic world. At its peak, the Mali Empire stretched from the Atlantic Ocean to modern-day Niger, covering vast territories. The empire's wealth and influence were unmatched, making it one of the most powerful states in history. Despite its incredible wealth and influence, the Mali Empire began to weaken after the death of Mansa Musa in 1337. The reasons for its decline were complex, involving both internal and external factors. 1. Weak leadership and succession struggles. Mansa Musa's immediate successor, Magan Mors, lacked his father's leadership skills. Later rulers struggled to maintain central control, and disputes over succession became frequent. With each succession crisis, Mali's stability weakened, and local governors, called farbas, began asserting more independence. 2. Loss of trade dominance. Mali's power depended on controlling trans-Saharan trade routes, but over time, new trade routes emerged that bypassed Mali's territory. Coastal trade with European merchants, particularly the Portuguese, began growing in importance by the 15th century, reducing Mali's influence. 3. Rebellions and decentralization. As central authority weakened, various regions and vassal states started breaking away. The Mossi kingdoms, the Tuareg Berbers, and other groups challenged Mali's control. Some regions, like Gao, which later became the center of the Songhai Empire, became increasingly independent. 4. The rise of the Songhai Empire. One of Mali's biggest threats came from its former vassal, the Songhai Empire. By the 15th century, Songhai, under Sunni Ali, launched military campaigns to seize Mali's most important cities. In 1468, Timbuktu fell to the Songhai, and by the early 16th century, much of Mali's territory was under Songhai control. 5. Tuareg invasions and external pressure. The Tuareg Berbers, a nomadic group from North Africa, also took advantage of Mali's weakening grip. In 1433, the Tuaregs seized Timbuktu, dealing a major blow to Mali's economic and cultural dominance. By the late 16th century, Mali was only a small regional power, overshadowed by new rising states. The once mighty empire had been reduced to a fraction of its former self. By the 17th century, the Mali Empire had been completely overtaken by stronger regional powers, including the Bambara kingdoms and the expanding Moroccan Empire. What remained of Mali dissolved into small, independent states. However, the legacy of Mali endured. It left a lasting impact on West African culture, trade, and governance. The empire's traditions of scholarship, architecture, and governance influenced later African states. The University of Sankore continued to be a major center of learning, and the stories of Mansa Musa's wealth and Sundiata Keita's heroism are still told today. The fall of Mali was not due to a single event, but rather a combination of weak leadership and political instability, loss of control over trade, invasions from external enemies, the rise of rival states, particularly the Songhai Empire. Despite its decline, the Mali Empire's impact on world history is undeniable. It was one of the greatest civilizations of the medieval era, influencing global trade, education, and culture. Even today, Mali's legacy is visible in the pride of West African nations, the remnants of Timbuktu's great learning centers, and the enduring legend of one of the wealthiest empires the world has ever seen.